Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. If you're new here, my name's Anthony. I'm a business profit advocate. Here we interview entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, and people just doing cool things. For example, today we're meeting with Richard Kaye. He's the recipient of the White House Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. Having the media shine a spotlight on you is the fastest way to grow your business. How you doing today, Richard?
Outstanding, outstanding, Anthony. Any day you can get up is an outstanding day, no matter what else is going on.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Some like I was telling you before, I'm a little sick, but it's still a great day. I could be a lot sick. So that's awesome. So where are you calling in from?
I am in Taos, New Mexico, where in spite of the forecast of 10 inches of snow, we've only got an inch or two. However, up in Ski Valley, they've got lots and lots of snow.
Hmm. You think it's going to stick or is it going to be around for a little bit and go away, you think?
Up in Ski Valley, it's thickened down here. The roads are already clear.
I gotcha. So I've only ever driven through New Mexico. What do you recommend? What do you do for fun out there? What do you recommend people do if they visit?
Oh, depends on where, Anthony, people, when they hear New Mexico, most of them think of Texas and Mexico and hot and dry desert. We're over 7,000 feet. This is Ski Valley is one of the top 10 ski destinations in this country. And the music out here, restaurants, hiking is outstanding. If you're a skier, I don't ski anymore, Anthony, but the first time I went 20 years ago, I said, geez, this is the beginning run. You see bumper stickers that say Taos is a four-letter word for steep. So it's great food, great people, lots of music, live music every night, probably three or four different places.
That's awesome. I love skiing. I haven't been in a long, long time, and I've only ever been to, like smaller areas over like the Illinois area where we don't have mountains. So maybe I don't like real skiing. Maybe I just like small slopes. But anyway,
Well,
it is fun. I will have to try it sometime. So
yeah.
awesome. So what can you tell us about what you do? You're doing a lot. You're the recipient of the White House Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. You obviously, do a lot of great stuff. So what does that look like?
So we're going to talk about publicity, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't make a difference what your business is, where it is. It can be in the middle of Chicago, New York, or where I live with 5,000 people out here. You want people talking about you. You want them to say, I've heard your name. Tell me about it. What do you do? And Anthony, I'm going to share, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share how I started. I'm a retired, but I practiced chiropractic for 30 years in San Diego and tell you how to grow a business. And again, I say it doesn't make a difference what you do. When I moved from New York to San Diego, there were 300 chiropractors in town. We are all in crowded businesses. When I used to coach chiropractors, when I did that as a part of my business, I asked them, what makes you different from every other doctor in town? They, oh, I care about my patients. I say, right. I'm going to go to the lady next door. She's going to say, I don't care about my patients. How does the consumer know? Hey, Anthony, have you ever heard someone on the radio or read an article about them and wondered why them and not me? That ever happened to you?
Yep.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we're all like that. And you're smarter than those people. So let me give you a little journey here. I learned about publicity really fast. I got myself invited to be a guest on a morning television talk show. Turned that to getting invited back about every month or so. Did that for a year plus or minus. Then I got an article in the San Diego Tribune. I'm going to tell you how to do these things, by the way. Then I got an article in the Los Angeles Times. Now, that's pretty cool. There, people say, well, I want a newspaper in my own city. Very few people decided to drive from Los Angeles down to San Diego, but it's leverage. And later you're going to get a gift. So stay tuned on how to leverage every piece of publicity that you've got. So stay tuned. You're going to get that later on. And I still use that as leverage. Now, that may have been 30 or 40 years ago. Well, I don't practice anymore. How do you leverage it, Richard? I'm talking about it. Using it as a model, as an example. Now, this is going to sound like a story about me, and it is because it's how I did this. I invite you, ladies and gentlemen, take this on as a metaphor. See, the tipping point, Anthony, was when I got a phone call from the producer of the ABC News. Her question, in essence, was, who are you? We're seeing your name around town. We're hearing your name. Well, they knew about me. Now I've got a 6:30 news segment on ABC. Shortly after that, I get a very similar phone call from the producer of PBS. Who are you? Well, now I got a PBS segment about me. I'm no longer just another one of 300 other chiropractors in town. At the time, I was the most visible person up there because my name was all over the place. That's what you want. That's what you want to happen. That's what billboards, let's talk about billboards and such. Want to make a distinction between advertising, public relations, and publicity. Advertising, you know what it is. You pay for something, there's an ad in the newspaper, radio, television, side of a building. You can measure return on investment from an ad because you pays your money, the ad goes out, and you're either making money or not, but you can measure that. Public relations is either you do it or you hire someone to send out press releases. And you pray to God that someone in the media says, oh, I like this story. Now, Anthony, what do you think would have happened if you or I sent out a press release a couple of days ago on Monday and Tuesday? How many people would have picked it up and run with it? There were other things going on in this country on Tuesday. It's like a national election. So, the smart PR people, they didn't send stuff out. And it's kind of a crapshoot. Does it work? Beautifully. It's been going on for ages and it's very effective. And it's hit or miss. Anthony, I assume that you and ladies and gentlemen, you're watching, you're listening, you'd rather have a guaranteed result. Would that be so? That would be yes, right? That's what publicity is. Publicity is guaranteeing that something gets placed. So, for example, one of the things we guarantee is getting you featured in big city newspapers, from the media, from magazines, from getting on stages. We guarantee that. And when you do that, it gives you credibility. It gives you credibility. Now, Anthony, I want to acknowledge you. One of the things you picked up of, and I got a lot of stuff there, is that I'm the recipient of the White House Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. That speaks volumes. Ladies and gentlemen, when you've got awards, you put them, that's part of my email signature. It speaks volumes. Yes, some committee at the White House said, hey, let's give this guy an award. Let's acknowledge him. That's what those kind of awards are about. So you want to get out and let people know who you are. Now, Anthony, when we got introduced by somebody, it was the same thing. Someone said, you got to talk to Anthony. He's a guy who knows a guy. And that's where our conversation led to this conversation for us to explore how everyone here, you can get the media attention. I'm going to tell you how to do that. Would that be okay, Anthony, if I give people some tips on how to get on talk radio, for example?
Please, please, absolutely do. If they don't have pens and paper yet, they should probably get it right now. So
That's the segue. Ladies and gentlemen, get something to write with. If you listen to talk radio, and if you don't, you may want to start to listen to talk radio. Find a station that appeals to you. Now, I'm not a sports guy. I don't listen to sports. There was a game the other night, and this morning I said, oh, there was a football game the other night. I don't know who won, let alone played in the Super Bowl. I don't want to be on a sports show because after I say hello, I've got nothing to talk about. It's not my shtick. So if I'm going to be on a talk show, which I did back in San Diego, I was actually on 3 different stations in San Diego talking about quality of life. Today I would talk about business. Find the programs you like and listen to them. Now, I'm going to tell you how to pitch in a moment, but suffice it for this part here. My words get disappeared. Don't bother to pitch the host. The host is the final decision maker. I'm not talking podcasts and webinars. I'm talking about terrestrial radio. In the old days when you tuned a dial, today, find that station automatically. when you pitch them, and I'm going to tell you how to pitch in a moment. And by the way, if you follow 10% of what you're going to learn today, you will get in the media. That's what happens. So watch this. A typical talk radio program is an hour. They typically have three guests an hour. The show is typically 3 hours a day, and typically three different talk shows a day on that same station. Now, when I was in San Diego again, there were myriad talk shows out there. So I just wound up getting on three of them. They do these shows 5 days a week. If you're doing the math, stay with me. And if you're not, I'll give you the sum at the end here. This is not a math test. They do it for 50 weeks a year, typical 2-week vacation for the host. Anthony, ready? That's 6,750 guests that every show needs every single year. Yeah, they need you more than you need them. Do you got that, ladies and gentlemen? They need you. They don't want to have a host go on and have nothing to talk about. They need you. So how do you pitch them? I already said, don't pitch the host. They're the last decision maker. They're just the front piece there. It's the producer. Now, when I used to do this, we had this thing called the Yellow Pages. It was a thick phone book. San Diego was pretty thick. And the pages were yellow, hence Yellow Pages. And I'd go in and I'd find the producer. Today, it's a much easier way to do that. How do you do that? It's called the internet. Find the producer of the show you like. Call them. Now, this is so critical. Anthony, I don't know if you're on any networking events, ladies and gentlemen, in our business. And by that, I mean, we're entrepreneurs. How do I know that? You're participating in this program. You're an entrepreneur. How many times do you hear people say, my name is, I do this, I love speaking, I love this, I want to be on your show, and it's you want to gag, even if you do it. Nobody hears you. You don't hear anyone else. When Anthony and I spoke, I didn't tell him how wonderful, great, all the stuff I do. I said, here's what your audience is going to get out of it. Write that down, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you want to pitch, no matter who, whether it's Anthony, if you want to be on his program, or anybody else, or television or radio. What is the audience going to get out of it? Anthony is here to serve you. And if I came on, I suspect some of you guests do, and tell you how wonderful they are, that's great. My goal is for you to take action steps after we're done. After you hear this, go out, get back to Anthony and say, hey, I got invited to do this, and this. That's what success is about. See, we all know this statement. Anthony, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You know that statement, yes?
Mm-hmm.
I invite you to take it a step further. It's who knows you. And go back to my examples about the producer of ABC and then PBS calling me and saying, hey, who are you? We're hearing your name around town. That's how you grow a business. Publicity will take you pretty far. And if you're just joining us, hang out. I'm going to give you something at the end as a free gift on how to get publicity leveraged. I don't care what you got. So you say, well, I don't have anything yet. Start someplace. Learn how to speak. Get a speaking coach. You don't have to pay $1,000 an hour. There are plenty of people who are capable of doing all these things. And if you want to learn how to talk, go to a volunteer club, Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions, whatever these clubs are in your neighborhood. They need speakers every single week. And you'll get about 20 minutes to speak. Here's what you want to do. You want to have what's called a speaker's reel. Now, some of you have heard speaker's reel, scissors reel. A sizzle reel is, hey, I've been on ABC, NBC, Fox, and Washington Post and all. That's a sizzle reel. That says how good you are. A speaker's reel shows you in action. It shows you speaking. Well, how do you do that if you go to one of these local clubs? my wife is the incoming president of Rotary out there, and I was invited to speak once. I didn't shoot because I've got my speakers reel. They had about 20 people there. Get your family, get your kids, and if not, hire two people to shoot. One of them is a fixed camera, typically right in front. Another can either be handheld roving or from an angle. You've got now what's called a two-camera shoot. And if you don't have the technical ability, and most people don't, to edit it and label it and make it a shining speaker reel, pay some kids to do it. Go to university, hire some students. And by the way, you're going to pay them. You're not working for free because they're students. They get credit for school and you get a speaker's reel. Don't worry if it's polished yet. Just look at it. Have your friends and family and professionals look at it, excuse me, and enhance it until you get the kind of reel you want. Now, when you want to get on platforms, you've got something to send to them and say, hey, I'm just not a talking head. I can really do this. My speaker's reel shows me in the audience working with people. It's animated, it's live. You want people to say, I choose you. I choose you. Don't worry how terrible it is. We're all too critical of ourselves. So get something done, get it out, and let people know that you are real. As an entrepreneur, I keep saying publicity is one of the fastest ways to grow your business. You've got to get out into the world. I don't care how good you are. If no one knows you're there, you're not paying the rent, you're not paying the mortgage, and you're going to be working for somebody else soon. You want to go out into the world and let people know you're existing. That doesn't mean go out and brag, I'm the greatest. Nobody cares. Just Anthony, have you got any questions before we go on? I got a wealth of information.
No, I'm just trying to absorb all this. It's awesome. There's there's things in here that I've never even considered, so I'm excited to hear the rest of it.
Okay. Another great way is to have a book. The Today, well, let me give you a reference. There are three major kinds of publishers. The big boys, the Randoms, the Putnams, the Collins, these are the big houses. You go out there, if they take you on, they're going to ask, what's your marketing budget? Anthony, the word publish simply means make available to the public. That's all it means. So they're going to print the book and make it available. Who's going to buy it? Nobody's going to know about it unless you're spending a lot of money to publish it. What do you get? Bragging rights. What do you lose? Your copyright. They own it for 5 years. You can't do anything. I'm going to give you an example in a moment about distinctions and outcomes that are possible. Then there's you and me, ladies and gentlemen, and Anthony. We can write a book, go on Amazon and publish it. We pray to God it's edited properly, the spelling's correct, the grammar's correct, the layout's wonderful, and the cover sings. Anthony, you're just like the rest of us. I suspect when you go into a bookstore, you remember when there were bookstores all over the place? When you go into a bookstore, why do you pick a book off the shelf? What are you doing, Anthony?
It's standing out to me. I'm looking for something in particular.
Yeah, and the cover yells at you.
Mhm.
Cover says, pick me, pick me. I was looking for stuff here. I took it to another room. Uh, so we want to make sure that your cover is outstanding. You do it yourself. Again, it's a crapshoot, maybe. And who reads it? Friends and family, if you're lucky. Then you have what we do at the Top Talent Agency, where we're a full service place. We can help you ghostwrite. By the way, I have nothing to sell you here. So just, don't wait for the shoe to drop and say, here's your buy today. No, this is just for you to have wealth of information. And of course, if you choose to work with us, we'll work with you because we want you to succeed. So if we need to ghostwrite it with you, we ghostwrite it. And the meeting has been upgraded and we now include unlimited minutes. That's very cool. Okay. So thank you. Editing means more than is the comma inside the quotation mark or outside. It means, where does this chapter flow? Does it flow into the next one or does it need to be moved? Are there headings? Unless you're reading a novel. No one wants just solid text. You want to break it up so that it's all good. And of course, the cover. And then the publicity. We guarantee number one best-selling book. We guarantee to get you speaking on stages. We guarantee to get you the publicity so that your book is out there. So I said I'd give you an example. My wife, when we met, she was living in the UK. She's from San Francisco. She was living in the UK. She had spent, Anthony, over $200,000 trying to get her books out to the world. She writes fairy tales. When kids fall in love with themselves, they don't go out and shoot up schools and stuff like that. She went through a couple of different publishers, very few sales. She came to our company, then we met and got married, and that's all. We don't do that with clients, but this is different. She's now a number one best-selling author. Her books have won over a dozen different awards, Mom's Choice Awards. She is a writer, obviously. She's got 3 books out there. I've got the 4th book on my computer that I'm editing. She has contributed to, I think, about 12 different newspapers. She's a columnist for the Los Angeles Tribune. How did all those things happen? Because she started writing. And Mo, who owns the LA Tribune, said, "Hey, Angela, why didn't you become a columnist?" Now she's a columnist. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can be a columnist, but if you want to if you want to get your stuff out into the world, you have to know how to do it. If you got more time than money, internet's wonderful. Go figure it out. I mean, you can search everything. Sometimes you'll find good answers. If you got more money than time, you engage us at Top Talent Agency, and we guarantee to get you out there. Another thing we do, if you are an author, we will, my wife and I just launched literally yesterday, Heart of Humanity Awards for books. And she put it out on social, and I can hear her in the room behind me talking to, I know because she told me who she's calling, someone in Australia. And we're already getting applications. One of the ways to get in touch with me is talkaboutpublicity.com. And we can explore, what is it that you need? What do you need to grow your business? And we'll see how we can serve you. Some of you know Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols engaged us 2 months. Lisa was the star of The Secret many years ago. She's been on Oprah a couple of times. She's doing a one-woman show in Manhattan on December 9th. And she engaged us to help her get out there. Well, by the way, it depends on how big you want to get. We can get you interviewed at the NASDAQ studio in New York. Right outside the window behind you is a NASDAQ Jumbotron, the largest Jumbotron in I think, the world. And we get you featured on the NASDAQ Jumbotron. Now, we talked about an ROI on advertising. There is no ROI on marketing, on publicity. You see, no one's going to look at that Jumbotron and say, "Oh, I'm going to go to that website." No, it's leverage. It's leverage. Anthony, what would it mean to you and your business if you had your book displayed, like 5 feet tall on the NASDAQ Jumbotron? It says, "Somebody noticed me. I'm out there." Ladies and gentlemen, that's what leverage is about. It's my mantra. You want to increase your influence, credibility, and exposure so that people say, "I've heard of your name. I know who you are. How do I get in touch with you?" By the way, the best way to get in touch with me is real simple. Talkaboutpublicity.com. Talkaboutpublicity.com is a direct link to my calendar. We'll set up some time and we'll explore. If you are ready to grow, then set up a call. It's not a sales call. I'm retired. I don't do sales anymore. I'm retired for 20 years. I had a wonderful practice in San Diego. And how did I wind up here in Taos? Someone invited my then wife and me out, and you said you've been into New Mexico. and we fell in love with it. He said, "Oh, this land is for sale." He took us out to where he meditates. So we came out, we bought 80 acres and said, "Someday." So 20 years ago, I retired and moved out here. And now it's just about how I can serve more and more entrepreneurs to achieve different levels of success. And Anthony, you mentioned something that's very important. When I asked if you had any questions, he said, "No, these are things I never thought of." Most of us don't until we do, until that light bulb goes off and we say, "Oh, there's something out here that I didn't know." That's how we grow. That's how we grow personally. That's how we grow professionally. Our organization is about service to humanity. It's helping. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what business you're in, I don't care what you do. You're helping people improve the quality of their lives. And if you're not focused around that, if you're just in business for money, consider doing something else. The more you serve, Zig Ziglar, who I had the privilege of knowing many, many years ago, he said, "You can have anything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what it is that they want." That's the way you should show up in business, so that you're there to serve people and your reputation grows. Your reputation is going to grow whether it sucks or whether it's outstanding. Which would you rather have? You know? So one of the challenges we have as a business, Anthony, is we underpromise and overdeliver. Why do we do that? If I promise you something and I don't deliver, now Anthony is not this kind of person. I know that. Little that I know about you, I know that. But there are people who will go out online and trash you. You don't want that. My philosophy and our company's philosophy is you start with a suspect. Everyone is a suspect. Everyone can use publicity. We want, and I was using me, but this is what you want to turn them into a prospect, someone to have a conversation with. Then you want to turn them into a client, not a customer. And I'll make that distinction in a moment. I'll make it now. A customer, you go to the gas station, you go to the supermarket, you get your stuff, you pay them, you go home. There's no other connection or responsibility. You may go back to the same place, but they're not in touch with you. You're not playing with them. A client is someone that you nurture, you develop a relationship with, you keep in touch with them so that they become, and here's the next step, a raving fan. How do you grow your business? You want raving fans to go out and talk and brag about you. Get testimonials. Get testimonials. If you can get video testimonials, that's great. Written ones are wonderful. I was on a networking event, I guess it was a month ago. I had something to give away. This morning, I got an email. Here's what you got. Here's how many people clicked. Here's how many people found. Would you please send the testimonial? Well, hello. Of course, I'll send the testimonial. That's good business for you and for them. Honor and acknowledge people. Honor and acknowledge people. And I'll be very transparent here. Anthony, when we wrap this, you're going to get an email from me thanking you for the opportunity to have a conversation with you and your followers. Does it mean we will ever do business? I don't know. Honor and acknowledge people. Our world has gotten to a place where it's screw thy neighbor instead of honor and endorse and support your neighbor. If someone does something nice, personal business, go out and thank them for it. Let them know that you acknowledge and you care and you noticed. So let me, Anthony, I said I'm going to give your followers something. richardk.com/leverage. Write this down, ladies and gentlemen. richardk.com/leverage. What you're going to get is how to leverage anything you've got as far as publicity. So I told you, for example, my email signature includes recipient of the White House Lifetime Presidential Achievement Award. It says, hey, some people, I don't care what, it's not politics. Trust me, this is not politics. This is from the White House, not the person. And that's where you want to go. You want to up level. So that's a short video on how to leverage everything you've got. Let's talk about getting you speaking gigs. And that's not what can we talk about that, Anthony? I want to make sure that you're okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I've been in this business for 20 years working with entrepreneurs. Got a lot of stuff out there. So, how do you get speaking gigs? We talked about pitching. We talked about getting on mailing lists, following through with things so people want to keep in touch with you. You know how to pitch now. You're going to pitch with what the audience is going to get, what not to do. Don't be a pain. Don't pester them. You can call the studio. Again, the metaphor was radio before. You can call the producer and tell them, hey, I want to send something to you, and I just want to make sure I got the right email address. You don't have to. You can just send a cold email. Do not pester them. Do not follow up the next day and the next day. Hey, did you get it? What do you want to? No. Yeah. My hallucination, Anthony, is you get a lot of pitches for people to be guests. My hallucination is that if someone becomes a pain in the butt, they're gone. You don't want to follow through with them. Find out how you can serve. Show up and serve. We have a young lady in store here. Her name is Mattress Mary. She moved to Taos from San Francisco. She had to go down to Santa Fe, an hour and a half away, to buy mattresses. She said, there's a whole new business opportunity here. So she started as Mattress Mary. Now she has Taos Lifestyle. How did she grow her business? She showed up at every event there was in town. She sponsored events. I used to be involved with an organization called the Taos Entrepreneurial Network. I invited her to be a speaker. These are the things that you do. Show up. Now she has one of the biggest facilities in town. And now she has music venues there. Now, this doesn't going to fit most of us. We're not going to do music venues. And she doesn't, I don't know, 30, 40,000 square foot furniture plus store. She built her reputation by showing up. If you want to get invited to speak, show up at places, make your presence known, but in a very service-oriented way. Don't be a pain. I keep saying that because if you are, no one's going to want to deal with you. You don't want to deal with that. I talked about networking events before. When you're on a networking event and you're in a breakout room where you get an opportunity to speak, don't talk about war and peace. Anthony, do you do networking events? Do you want any of those things in chat rooms?
Oh yeah, I've been on quite a few.
Okay, so you know that people write war and peace. I do this. I love this. I want to do this. I've been around for 170. No one cares. You don't read them. Why would you think anyone else would? Be very succinct and to the point. This is what you will get out of working with me. Now, I'm very clear. I didn't tell you how we get you in newspapers, how we get you in ink and Forbes and on stages. What I said was, we will guarantee that you be in big city media. We'll guarantee you get on stages. That's all you care about. Until we get into a conversation about the how, then you're going to want to know that. That's not the attraction. The attraction is, and Anthony, we're all the same. What's in it for me? What am I going to get out of it? That's what business is about. When you go into a store, unless when you use a tire store, you don't care where the tires are made. You want to know, are they going to be the right tires for you? Then you care if they're Goodyear or Bridgestones or Pirellis. Then you get down into the weeds with that. You didn't go to the store to find out. Again, unless I want Pirellis. Well, that's okay. You're just going to go to a store and ask the salesperson, what are the best tires for my car? Yokohamas, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. Most of us don't care. Anthony, I would wager that the last time you get on an airplane, you didn't ask the engines Pratt and Whitney, Boeings, or Rolls. You don't care. You want to know, is that airplane going to get you to your destination safely? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you these metaphors so you have different ways of remembering. So what have you got so far? You now know how you can get in big city media. You now know how you can get a best-selling book. You now know how to get on radio. By the way, same thing for television, just you have to play at a bigger level. Now, let's talk about stages and television. Anthony, if I was having this conversation with you and I was looking, ladies and gentlemen, my eyes are just nowhere near the camera. Television ain't like that. It's live. You're either going to look at the host or the audience. And if you're not sure how to do that, don't watch the news. There's some talk shows that they're okay, but learn from the people who are already doing it and see how you can improve your quality and show up better and get some training. Go to you. I don't care where you live. There's always somebody near you. And God, there's so many webinars and seminars and summits where you can do these kinds of things in real time. Learn how to be present. And your job is not to be the superstar. Your job is to interact, engage with the host. I mean, you've heard several times I've asked Anthony questions. I want you involved. I want you to be involved. You don't care what I want. You want to be involved with the host. You want to get invited back. That's the goal. Is that's how I got on the morning television talk show in San Diego, Sun Up San Diego. I got invited back. There was a male and female host, and I kept asking them questions. And again, that was quality of life. It was different. So, how else may I serve you, Anthony? What else do you feel you or your followers would like to know?
So far, everything is gold. So any more in that vein is really great. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of things I didn't consider, and you're absolutely right. And one thing that I really I've been doing right, and it was nice to hear you say is sending people thank you cards, or acknowledging that, because you're right. There's less of that in the world today, so it actually stands out more than it would have 30 years ago, because it might have been a more common practice. But now if I get a thank you, it's it perks you up a little bit. You're like, hey, I put that, 3 or 4 pegs higher than it already was. So things like that are very underappreciated. And yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this one myself a couple times. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to digest this. So awesome. Yeah, no. Anything, and like what you're saying, everything's gold so far.
So thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, any way I may serve you, talkaboutpublicity.com. It depends on how large you want to play. We have a contract with Peacock Originals where we do docuseries on people. Our organization, Top Talent Agency, was invited by the UN, and the president of the company, his wife, and a few people they're just coming back from Kenya. The UN wanted them to do a documentary about being in service in Kenya. And people ask, do you make money? No. $20, price of a book is a week's salary, a month's salary for someone in Kenya. But it's just showing up. So the UN is one of our clients. Now, none of us are playing at that level, but that's a nice acknowledgement of how we can serve humanity. So again, if you want a documentary made, and we've only got 2 clients playing at that level, that's not most people. Most of us are about books, we're about media, we're about attention being directed toward us. So talkaboutpublicity.com. Top T Agency is the website. If you want to get on my mailing list, just rkaye@richardk.com is my email address. Put you on the mailing list. We do events all the time. I've got a Genius Summit coming up in December. I've got Lisa Nichols and Mark Victor Hansen, John Gray, Men from Mars guy, Brian Tracy. People come to us and they're just like you and me, Anthony. Yeah, some have got bigger names and they got bigger followers, but they come to us for publicity. And it's a nice company to work with. richardk.com/leverage. It's a cute little video, it's a very information-packed video. I think it's about 8 minutes. Shows you how to go out and leverage. Even if you just did a talk at Rotary, go and leverage that. They invited me to come speak. So anyway else I may serve you, ladies and gentlemen, or Anthony, just reach out and I'd be glad to be in service.
Perfect. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, I could not recommend it more. Reach out to him directly. If you're shy and you want an introduction, ask me. I'm more than happy to make that three-way introduction to you as well. But awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, Richard. Like I said, I'm gonna have to go back and watch this a couple times myself. Because I don't have a pen and paper with me, because I just want to engage, but I'm definitely gonna have to go back through and take some notes personally. So if anybody out there would like to be a guest and practice your chops, like you said, get on shows, talk to people, start speaking, feel free to reach out to me. My link tree is going to be in the description along with everything that Richard has, all those links he's mentioned. So feel free, reach out to me. Let's find a time to chat. But otherwise, again, Richard, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. Let's all get out there and serve some people and meet some new people. All right.
Thank you for the opportunity, Anthony.
My pleasure.